Malaysia, Purwanto of Indonesia, Kandol of Philippines, Quoc Luat of Vietnam, Gamashi of Indonesia, Punupala of Thailand, Vietnam's Pham, Thanaton Grairat of Thailand, and Christopher Jr. to go in this race. Competitors lined up. They'll be introduced momentarily by the stadium announcer. So warmly welcomed in front of his home crowd, Luat bin Hamiz, the 25-year-old Malaysian. He's done 2 times sub 9:10 already this season, 9:06 and a 9:08.22 in Baku in May. Atjong Purwanto from Indonesia, 25-year-old, and 9:18 his best this season back in March.
189.
Camino Emmanuel Kandol, the 25-year-old from the Philippines. Well, he struggled to go sub 9:30, but he did do a 9:30 in Singapore in April. Quoc Luat, the 24-year-old from Vietnam, will be among the favourites for a medal here.
120.
Gamashi of Indonesia goes from the 5th position on this bunched start.
250.
This is Natawat Punupala of Thailand. Another athlete who'll be aiming for a medal, but genuine medal contender alongside him in Pham Tien of Vietnam, the silver medalist from 2015. A man who claimed his personal best in 2015 by running sub 9 minutes.
266.
Thanaton Grairat of Thailand will be the 8th competitor in this field, while the gold medalist from 2015, Christopher Jr., now 27, will aim to defend his title, going from the very outside. He hasn't been running very quick times, but he did come to this track in July to run in the Malaysian Open. He stood a 9:26 on that occasion. So the Philippines with a couple of contenders, including Kandol and the defending champion Quoc Jr. Being held for quite a long time on the line at competitors immediately breaking for the inside. It's a bit of a sprint start from Kandol of the Philippines. Well, don't read anything too much into this just yet. There's 3,000 meters to be covered, but most importantly is the number of barriers that need to be cleared by the athletes. Competitors have got to clear 28 fixed barriers and 7 water jumps during the race's duration. And the barrier is not quite as high as the men's high hurdles. They stand at 36 inches, which is 3 foot, so 91, about 91.5 centimeters. And at the first of the barriers that are to be cleared. 7 laps to go then. And the water jump will be cleared 7 times by these athletes. Another clearance. The water jump, the landing area is quite significant. It's a 12-foot landing area and around 70 centimeters at its deepest. Now break onto the inside of the track. Some tracks have their water jump on the outside, so the distance needs to be calculated. You'll notice the runners don't hurdle this barrier. Some will hurdle the fixed barriers out on the track, but they won't hurdle the water barrier. Although there are some athletes that enjoy hurdling the water barrier. I think the most famous of those became Amos Biwott, who was the first Kenyan to win the Olympic gold medal in the 1968 Mexico City Games. Leapfrogged the water jump without putting his foot on top of the barrier. And Kenya, of course, the dominant nation around the world. And continue to dominate. Moses Kiptanui, probably the most famous of all the 3000-meter steeplechase runners. A man who just continued breaking the world record in the spell between 1991 and around 1995. So a little change in the lead here. As you see the athletes just hurdling the jump for the most part. You can put your foot on top of the barrier if you like. It's a big solid wooden barrier, so there's no concern about it falling over. As for the rather flimsy or relatively flimsy high hurdles and the shorter races, these are proper solid steeples. Photographers always gathered at the water jumps. Had some wonderful shots as well. So a change in the lead. Condor went to the front quickly, but Ulbok joined him very quickly as well. Purwanto wanting to get himself into a position from which to make a challenge. It's still early days yet. We're virtually a third of the way through the race. 5 laps to go now. So taking themselves into handy positions are the gold and silver medalist from the last games. Pham, Tien, currently in 3rd position, while Ulbok Jr. of the Philippines currently putting himself just behind the man who's leading at the moment, Purwanto. Just looking to take a step or two away from the athletes. Quoc Luat, another runner who's done a decent time, a 9:12 in June. Probably wanting to prove that he's got the speed to produce a finish capable of medaling. As we approach the water jump again, with Purwanto still leading. Put on top of the block, and it's a water jump that sometimes causes problems for athletes. Beatrice Quoc at the recent World Championships actually missed the water jump. She continues to run around the track, then had to retrace her steps, go back, double back, then cross the water jump. And most of the athletes hurdling the regular steeples, and Purwanto now is sort of starting to pick up his pace ever so slightly. Not looking over his shoulder, but it is effectively a challenge to the other competitors. Come with me if you dare. There will be athletes who will want to see how the race develops, but there will be some other athletes that have a plan set in place. They will not deviate from their plan, and they will run at the pace that they think is correct. And of course, so much depends on a number of aspects, including the weather conditions, including humidity, temperature. These are all aspects that need to be taken into consideration. Not the longest of events. It's only 3 kilometers effectively that are covered by the athletes, so far from being the longest of events. But it is relatively punishing, particularly with the breaks in stride and the breaks in tempo building up to the steeples that need to be cleared, and indeed the water jump. Relatively humid and hot conditions might be welcomed. Some cooler water splashing on the legs of the runners. 3 laps to go now, and Purwanto extending his advantage of the field. The 25-year-old Indonesian is looking to take this to the other runners. A man who did a 9:18 in March, so is not to be underestimated, and we're starting to see a move being made by the runners behind him, who feared that he might be getting a little too far ahead. It's Ahmad Lut bin Hamiz of Malaysia who's starting to make the push up and trying to drag the runners behind the Indonesian up toward the runner. Pham Tien Son is the athlete currently positioned in 3rd place, while the defending champion sits in still a relatively handy 4th position overall. But coming up to the final 800 meters, moves need to be made. Now as he enters the straight, around 900 meters to go. When he crosses the line, it'll be only 2 laps to decide the victor. And Atjong Purwanto is not conceding his lead. He's conceded a few meters in it. There's still strong finishing to come. Two Vietnamese runners, both have strong finishes, and they're both handily positioned. Looks like the defending champion, Christopher Ulbach, despite his run at the Malaysian Open in July in preparation for this event, he's not looking like he's in his strongest form. He's desperately trying to catch Purwanto now, with around 600 meters to go for Purwanto in the lead. As he starts that second bend and heads into the water jump. You all know that he's got a very short distance to into the line and then one final lap to go. They are not closing on Purwanto, still looks fresh. Still plenty of opportunity for runners to make an error. They don't want to. A little bit of a stumble there from Quoc at the water jump, which might have proved problematic, lost him a few meters. Certainly disrupted his tempo, but now scrambling to get back into contention here. And there is a move being made. Now from the silver medalist of 2015, Pham Tien, as the bell is taken by Purwanto of Indonesia. A handful of seconds behind him though, and plenty of room to make up. Three chasing runners, including a Malaysian, Ahmad Luat bin Hamis, who's being egged on and encouraged by the partisan home support here at Kuala Lumpur 2017. And he looks to be hurtling to victory here. The runners behind him are using their spikes to step on the top of the barriers, but Atjong Purwanto is still looking very fresh. He quietly came into this competition, was not expected to be one of the quicker runners, but he's taken this to the field, and he did so quietly. He had a glance or two, and a few of the runners behind him went on his merry way. Nobody decided to go with him at the time, and now they might be regretting it. They're certainly closing in on him. A very fast finishing prospect from Pham Tien, but I don't think he's going to catch Purwanto. Purwanto over the final steeple, and he's sprinting towards the line now. He's going to be outside of record time, but he's got the gold medal. Purwanto of Indonesia gets it ahead of the 2015 silver medalist, and denied on the line Malaysia's Hamis as Quoc comes in to claim the bronze medal. Vietnam finished second and third. Silver and bronze. Hamis of Malaysia, who finished fourth and outside the medals, devastated. On the track he collapses, so too the defending champion, who had no answer for the athletes ahead of him. It's a sprint now for Natawat Bunupala, just trying to finish, clocking home for pride and finishing this race. But the Indonesian is on the tartan. Can't believe his success. He has got the gold medal for Indonesia, their fifth athletics gold medal. Tanatun Grayerat of Thailand coming home now. Cheered on by the crowd, but the focus is very much on Atjong Purwanto, winner of the men's 3000m steeplechase, a 9:03.94, and a gold medal for Indonesia. Pham Tien has to settle for the silver medal, as he did 2 years ago in Singapore, and his compatriot a fine bronze medal. Quoc a stumble at the penultimate water jump nearly cost him some time, had to sprint back into contention, but managed to chase down the Malaysian, who was being egged on by his home support, Ahmad Luat bin Hamis. And Vietnam have a second and third, a bronze and silver in this race, and congratulate the victor. Now, the two Indonesians are taking a lap. Elizar Gamashi getting in on the act as Purwanto claimed the win.
Congratulations to all participants and well done to gold, silver, bronze medalists tonight. Shortly, we will witness the victory ceremony for the men's high jump. Stay tuned for that.
Purwanto
After
Didn't lead from the very start, but took the lead relatively early on in the first couple of laps and decided he would make the most of his opportunity. Started to edge away from his competitors. Nobody went with him. Very quietly went about his business, ran his own race. In the end, needed to push hard to keep the Vietnamese duo of Pham Tien and Quoc Luat at bay. But the battle was on for the silver, bronze medal positions. And this is where the move was made by the silver medalist of 2 years ago. And while he left the other competitors behind, and while he was catching Purwanto, not enough time to do so. Purwanto timed it perfectly. Didn't have the strong finish of some of the other competitors, but he had a big enough lead to make it count. Atjong Purwanto, the 25-year-old Indonesian with his best time of the year. A shade over 9 minutes, 9:03.94, takes the gold medal and delivers Indonesia their 5th gold medal and their 15th medal of the athletics competition at Kuala Lumpur 2017. Confirmation of the results. Atjong Purwanto 9:03.94, consummate victory over Pham Tien of Vietnam 9:06.31. Quoc Luat with a fine bronze medal performance, just pipping Ahmad Lut bin Hamizan of Malaysia. Defending champion finishes